I wanted to do an introduction and kind of explain what the type of readings that I do. First of all, I'll give you a little background. I traveled with psychics and mystics for 15 years. And several years ago, on Saturdays, I was teaching at Rowan College, parapsychology, metaphysics, and I taught psychics how to do card readings and astronumerology. And basically, I'm a Kabbalistic astronumerologist, and I'm psychic and clairvoyant. And I've done thousands and thousands of readings. I've appeared at casinos. I appeared at colleges, psychic fairs, and I taught psychics how to make predictions. That was my specialty. And a lot of times somebody will go to a practitioner and everybody's different. And it's a question and answer game. And what I had on my table sign years ago was the questions you ask today will be outmoded tomorrow. In other words, what your priorities is now will change as events in your life change. And my goal was basically to predict change in people's lives, not to deal with their information, but new information. And new information brings new questions in a person's mind and behavior as to what's going to happen to them. Another thing is, as I go, I sometimes call out names, and that's people you'll hear from or about. If you know them, you'll hear some news. Or some people you may casually meet in your everyday life or travels, or wherever you go. It could be a waitress that serves your food. It could be the guy at the gas station. It could be your next door neighbor talking to you, and a coworker, or a friend, or a relative. Usually, if it's somebody you know, you'll hear news from or about them, or see them, or have contact with them in some way, even if you don't expect it. But it's good to take these readings in stride, but I try to explain things, and I believe in cycles and patterns. When you know the pattern you're in, and two people can be in an identical pattern and deal with people with the same propensities, but of course they're different people. These are people you know, and those are people they know. So everything's different. And I work with the entire birthday, the day, the month, and the year, and I put it in an astro chart. And the numbers in your birthday, your whole birthday, are actually relate to astrological signs, and that's the basis of astronumerology. So those numbers represent not only numbers, but planets and possible events in somebody's life. And somebody would say, well, what does that have to do with me? Well, it has to do with what's going to happen to you and the period that you're in. And I try to make you aware of what to look for. But if you look at this as entertaining and interesting, you'll have a lot more fun with it. And I spent some time with it, and I'm doing this video, which is like a pre-reading, so somebody understands where I'm coming from. And with the cards, I started doing cards, I don't want to tell you how many years ago, but let me say over 50. My father used to say all he does is throw cards on the table and look at them. And he didn't understand that the cards become a movie in my mind. And I tell people what I'm seeing. As I'm looking at the cards, I get symbols, I get flashes of people doing things, and I have to interpret them. And when I work, there's no conversation, because I'm constantly getting this, and in order for me to impart this to people, I have to just look at what I'm doing here and bring out the information and not have converse with somebody, because you can't hear two conversations at the same time. So when I get the readings, I'm basically having a psychic or mental conversation with the information that's coming in, and I just like to throw it out, and it will have some future meaning or consequence, and it should be interesting or important to somebody in the future. But always take this in stride, and I try to give this information and just look at it as an interesting experience.